I'm John von Erdmannsdorff. My wife and I started Von Shops in 1968. This is what we do. When we came to town, both as grad students, it was sad for what was available. We both read a lot, and every time we wanted a book, we found that what we were doing was special ordering it and waiting for it to come in. And she was in the English department, and everyone would repeatedly say to her, well, you should also read such and such, but you'll never find it here in town. So it was kind of a dissatisfaction with what was available. And at some point we just decided to print up some stationery and start out focusing on the English department and books. And so we started the store. There wasn't one, quite frankly. We were doing this part-time. We each were grad students, both had other things to do as well, but just let things evolve. As time went on, the store continued to grow. Initially, the store began in the dining room of our apartment. We were open for the first couple of months. We weren't really open at all. For the first couple of months, we put notes in the English department mailboxes saying what books that we had, and someone would put a note in my wife's mailbox saying this is the book I'd like, and she'd put the book back in theirs, and they'd put a check in hers, and people kept saying, you know, when can we come browse and look at the books first? It was just books initially, but very quickly added, you know, a spinner of art reproductions on cards that became the card shop, and telephone company Spool that had boxes of LPs on it that became the record department.
How about the beads?
Started when within the card shop, probably only 16, 17 years ago, where we just tried a few things, thought that they might be interesting for people to put a bead on a piece of hemp and make something with it. And they were popular, so we added more and just kept expanding and letting things grow. Survival. We have constantly met different kinds of challenges over the course of the store. Some things that are within your control and others without.
Can you give us an example?
We had once been much more strong in the video area than we are. But the city changed the street in front of us from two-way to one-way. It used to be when people were leaving campus at the end of the day, they were driving by our store. The day after the streets changed, we lost 70% of our video business because of a change that was beyond our control. And well, just the starting video rental, it wasn't done. We thought we invented something. And within a few months, all over the country, people were independently inventing the concept of video rental. But when we first got into it, there were less than 20 movies available. In 1968, we were in an apartment a block from here, just down south a block. In 71, we moved into where the book department is, and we were sharing it with a copy shop who had the front of the building, and the back part of it was just sitting empty. And so we thought that a real retail location might be better. Probably today, least profitable might be music. There was a time 10 years ago when we would order as many as 450 copies of a new release. But that was before everybody was making illegal downloads and copying things from friends. I think the other half of that question was most, and probably things with higher margins make sense. And there are some areas that we're doing, like the beads right now, has been a very fast growing thing for the last few years. where we've established better and better relations, and we're actually wholesaling beads to distributors who wholesale to stores. And so by buying better, we have better margins and we can offer better prices and things, but at the same time give us a wider profit margin. I shouldn't say masochism. It's too much work. You have to, I say, be interested in what you're doing so that instead of it being so much of a job, you can enjoy what you're doing. But you have to be willing to put in the extra effort. The biggest reason I stay here now in part is that there are people here who count on this for their support. My first employee is still here. He manages the bookstore. And if I were to quit, then he wouldn't have a job, and he likes doing what he does, so we keep going. I actually don't believe the store is sailing. There is so much diversity, and every area is so different that it would be almost impossible for someone or even a small group to take it on as it stands and understand the way the rocks and minerals are bought versus the comic department, which is so focused on the 50 new titles that come out every Wednesday, and that's where your focus is. My graduate degree, I have a master's in physical chemistry. quite a ways from this. I was headed towards a teaching career. I did teach in the high schools here in the county for a few years while running the store. And was a visiting instructor at Purdue for a semester or so.